For people who aren't fans of winter, animals that hibernate seem to have the right idea. It's the equivalent of burying your head under the covers until spring comes, isn't it? Not quite. Welcome everyone. In today's video, we're going to look at animals that forgot to come out of hibernation. But before we proceed, if you're new to this channel, remember, go ahead and to hit the bell icon to subscribe so you won't miss the informative videos we will upload in the future. Now get ready and make sure to stay tuned till the end as we dive right into the video. Number 1. Turtles. Turtles that live warmer, sunnier climates do not hibernate. Although, if it gets too hot they will aestivate, or enter a torpor-like state, and bury themselves to stay out of the unforgiving heat until some cooler weather or rainfall returns. Tropical turtles and tortoises do not hibernate. Bathed in year-round sunshine and warm temperatures, tropical chelonians stay active and feed throughout the winter. However, turtles in some of these areas must cope with oppressively hot, dry conditions during the summer. In a behavior that roughly parallels hibernation, turtles of the drought-stricken tropics dig into the substrate and aestivate until the rains return. Most freshwater turtles bury themselves in the mud at the bottom of deep ponds or lakes to survive the winter. While turtles require oxygen to live, they can extract small amounts directly from the water via their throat or cloaca. Additionally, due to the cold temperatures and their low metabolic rate, their oxygen demands are far lower during hibernation than when the turtles are active. Because fresh water reaches its greatest density at 39 degrees Fahrenheit, the bottom layer of water in sufficiently deep ponds will always be about this temperature, cool enough to allow hibernation, but not cold enough to freeze. Additionally, turtles dissolve small amounts of calcium from their shells into their bloodstream to keep their hearts beating properly and buffer the production of lactic acid. Number 2. Bumblebees. Hibernation can take up a large amount of a bumblebee's life, and some queen bees can hibernate for 9 months, almost 3/4 of their life. Going into hibernation is important because it protects the queens from the rigors of life above ground, with the risk of predation, starvation, and diseases. To hibernate, queen bees dig into well-drained soil, usually on north-facing banks. This varies between species, but it's thought that they choose north-facing banks because if they were south-facing, they would be exposed to the low winter sun, which could heat the soil and bring the bees out of hibernation before spring arrives. Staying in banks probably helps them avoid being flooded, as does the well-drained soil. They dig down about 10 centimeters or more and excavate a little hole in which they will spend the winter, surviving temperatures down to -19°C. Number 3. Hedgehogs. Hedgehogs usually hibernate from October/November through to March/April. Research has shown that each individual is likely to move nesting sites at least once during this period, and so can sometimes be seen out and about. During mild winters, hedgehogs can remain active well into November and December. While in hibernation, the hedgehog's fuel supply comes from the fat stores it has built up over the summer. Eating enough before hibernation is vital, and this is when supplementary feeding can prove important to hedgehogs. Any disturbance during this period can be extremely dangerous, as hedgehogs use up their precious energy reserves in order to become active again. Number 4. Ground squirrels. Oddly enough, the question surrounding whether or not squirrels hibernate is hotly debated. Everyday tree squirrels do not hibernate during the winter, they just sleep a lot. However, ground squirrels, which are found all over the world, actually do hibernate. In fact, ground squirrels do hibernate within their warm burrows to survive the winter months. Unfortunately, the pests often choose less than ideal areas for hibernation. The tunnels they dig along foundations, fencing, walkways, and tree roots can compromise structural integrity, creating dangerous collapses and costly repairs. When ground squirrels hibernate, they are also light sleepers. On warmer days, they leave their burrows to forage through garbage bags and stored pet food in nearby garages and woodsheds. This creates unpleasant messes requiring cleanup, which is made even worse by the cold winter weather. Number 5. Bats. Bats hibernate in a cycle unlike any other animal. Besides being nocturnal, some bat species are known to pack it in during the winter as well. Not all bats hibernate, but those that do usually live at high latitudes where insect prey becomes scarce during cold months. During this dormant period, they can often be found clustered on cave walls or ceilings, curled up like furry little balls. Hibernating bats make it through such a deep slumber, which can last over 6 months, on only a few grams of stored fat. They accomplish this by dropping their body temperature and slowing their metabolism to the point where heart rates wind down to a mere 10 beats a minute. By the time spring rolls around, the bats typically will have lost roughly half of their body weight. Number 6. Common poor-will. The small owl-like common poor-will is the only known bird to hibernate. During the winter, when its diet of flying insects becomes scarce, instead of migrating to a warmer climate like most birds do, the poor-will's metabolic rates will drop so that it can survive several weeks or months without eating. Their body temperature can drop as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and its respiration can decrease up to 90%. Rather than migrate like the rest of its kin, when the insects that make up most of the poor-will's diet become scarce during the winter, the small bird gets cozy under a rock or log and sleeps for an average of 100 days. Number 7. Snakes. Okay, technically snakes don't hibernate. They actually brumate, which is the reptile equivalent of hibernation. During the cold months, snakes will look for a well-insulated hideout where they can bide their time using little to no energy until some warmth returns. In some instances, snakes will brumate in large piles, which sounds horrifying. Number 8. Woodchucks. Woodchucks spend close to half of their year in hibernation. Once it's November, Penn State researchers estimate that these furry creatures drop their body temperature to about 38 degrees Fahrenheit, down from the normal 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and sleep in their burrows until about late April or early May. Number 9. Fat-tailed lemurs. Fat-tailed lemurs are reportedly the only primate known to be able to hibernate for longer than 24 hours. Like the bat, hibernation for the lemur is cyclical, while hibernation overall can last 7 months, characterized by long stints of torpor. Throughout that time, the lemur will regain normal body heat for about 6 to 12 days, according to researchers at Duke University. Number 10. Moths. Overall, moths live pretty short lives, so if they haven't died before the typical winter months, adult moths will enter a period of inactivity, much like the rest of the creatures named on this list. However, if the moth has not reached adulthood, the larvae laid before winter will remain unhitched until their food source, flower nectar, replenishes, according to the Butterfly Conservation Organization. There are a few months that actually fly and reproduce through winter, but odds are, the only moths that will be around by the end of October are really just people in meme-themed costumes. What animal hibernates the longest? In one experiment, however, a big brown bat hibernated in a refrigerator for 344 days, suggesting bats may deserve the title. That's all for today's video. Feel free to share any helpful information we've missed in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos from our channel. Thanks for watching and see you all soon.